Good afternoon, Facebook. It's 5 p.m. in the UK, it's 1 p.m. Eastern, and this is Broadcasting to Your Community with David and Stephen. On the left, you can see a picture by our good friend Kelly, and that is the bridge that joins Canada with the USA. And on the right-hand side, the picture of our local pond in Devizes in Wiltshire, and that was photographed by me and created by Google. So welcome to Broadcasting to Your Community, and I'm going to hide that and you'll be able to see me. As I said, I'm Stephen Healey, and I'm based in the UK, and normally I would broadcast with David Burrows, but I got a message from David a couple of hours ago, and I'll read it to you. Just realised I have a virtual town hall with Lambton College. Can you go alone? So here I am, just me. So we're live on the show with David Burrows, except, well, that's just for those in the know. We're live on the show with David Burrows, but today it is without David Burrows. So you're left with me. And I'm going to tell you what's happening in the UK. And when David and I get together again on Monday, we can go through what's happening in Sarnia, Ontario. For over 2.5 years now, David and I have been broadcasting weekly, and we've become good friends, good firm friends, and we broadcast together on a Monday normally, and we've built a community on both sides of the Atlantic. As I try to take this off and bring up a comment from Kelly from Barry, in actual fact. Good afternoon. Thank you. Very nice to see you. And we've built up a community on both sides of the Atlantic, joining Canada with the UK. And the purpose of these extra shows which we're doing, which is Tuesday through Thursday, is to sort of keep everybody informed as to what is going on. We are not medical people. We don't give medical opinions, but we do tell you about the updates on both sides of the Atlantic. So looking at things that have been happening today. Now, it just happens that I've got a full agenda here because I didn't use it this morning. So I'm going to go through a series of topics. If you have any questions, then please do ask them. If you want to come on camera, then you're more than welcome to do so. I'm going to post the guest link. And if you'd like to join me, you just need to click the link. And I'm just typing in there, and I'll send it into the chat. And you can join me on camera as we talk about things that are happening in the UK. And say hello to Fons. And Fons is my friend, and he's based in Cambridge in the UK. He's the Cambridge historian. Check out his webpage and his Facebook page as well. I'm looking forward to the Cambridge historian show coming back on Be.Live soon. And he and I broadcast together as well. And okay, I did say this was a show without David Burrows, but the show with David Burrows is saying join me, and I'm saying join me. So there you are. So you can join me on camera if you wish. You're more than welcome to do so. We can have 4 people on screen. This is BeLive.tv, or Be.Live as it's shortened its name to. Right, okay, so in the UK at the moment, we have a situation where our supermarkets have been under pressure. People have been going and panic buying and taking things off the shelves and emptying shelves. If you go around your local supermarket, you'll find it's nearly empty. Things have been disappearing. And that has led to a problem because now more and more people want to actually have their weekly shopping delivered. And most of the major supermarkets have got a problem because they've got more orders they can actually handle, and they're ramping up, they're employing new people, and they've got to train them up first of all. They're all hiring drivers so that they can go out and deliver the goods. They're hiring people for the warehouse as well. So our supermarkets are going through a boom period and are actually helping those who are staying at home. And this is important. And We're not marketing on this show. This is not a marketing show. Behave. Right. Okay. Go and buy Fonz's book. Right. So supermarkets are ramping up the situation so they can handle it. I dare say it's the same in Ontario as well. You have people who can't actually get to the shops, so they need supermarket deliveries. There are people who have regular deliveries anyway. They will be treated for help first, and then will come the people who have to stay at home. And I'll come back to that. Then will come key workers, and we define key workers in the UK as people who need our support because they're supporting us, especially in the health service. So that's important. And back over to Fonz, who's keeping things ticking over nicely. It was worth a try. Yeah, I know, it's always worth a try. Okay. All right, the next topic is how to protect your mental health. It is very difficult at the moment. It's difficult for all of us. I'm not going to state the fact. In the state of the fact, in the UK, we are under lockdown. I hate that phrase, but we are told to stay at home and go out once a day for exercise and go out sparingly for shopping. And for Angelica and I, that fits her into a normal routine. But for the people who are used to going out several times a day, it's very difficult. We can only have 2 people in a group talking. We can't have more than that. Ireland has 4, and other countries have other numbers as well, but you can't have more than 2 people in a group. Protecting our mental health is important. Protecting our outlook is important. That's why we're doing this show Monday through Friday, so that you can actually keep in contact with your friends and make new friends as well, because we've got people from both sides of the Atlantic actually watching the show. And to everybody who is watching now, thank you. If you're watching in the Be.Livers group, brilliant. If you're watching in Grow Your Business, my Fraser Hay, then welcome. If you've got any stories to tell, then just press the link, which will give you access to come and be a guest on the show. As I say, we go out 5 days a week. If you're watching from the David Burrows show, thank you. If you're watching anywhere apart from the David Burrows show, you'll see a link up above. That link is important because if you press that link, I can see your comments and I can bring your comments on screen. And Fonzie's going back to the supermarket story. Thing is, bulk buying, a lot of short life products are going to waste. That's a very good point. There was a piece in The Guardian today and on the BBC. What happened last week was that people went panic buying and they bought everything they thought they might need. A week later, they found that they have a fridge and a vegetable rack full of things which are past by their sell-by date, and the actual rubbish being disposed of is up 30% at the moment. So people have bought it and just thrown money away because they've not used it. And if you don't use it and you do take note of sell-by dates, then you're throwing away things, and that's happened quite frequently. Say hello to Stu, and reaching out is working because we say hello to Tim Curtis. And Tim, nice to see you again. Tim is saying he ordered his groceries before all this, but now pick a time slot for pickup, and you're booking 2 weeks out. I think we've got the same situation here. We're actually having to book 2 or 3 weeks out, and that's a problem. As I said earlier, we're allowed to go out for 1 exercise routine a day. Our exercise is walking. So on our walks, what we're doing is that we're actually finishing up at the supermarket and buying food whilst we're out and about. And over to Barry. And Barry is saying some of our major supermarkets are giving all their employees a 15% increase in pay during this difficult time. Well deserved. I hope that there is something similar in the UK as well, because they are working like Trojans and they're keeping us going. I mean, it must be devastating to actually, you come in, you do your shift at night and you fill all the shelves, and before you go home, they're empty again. That will improve. I mean, both in the UK and Canada, there is no shortage of food. There is no shortage. It doesn't exist. The systems that the supermarkets have been using for years are tried and tested. They can ramp up deliveries from the distribution centres to the supermarkets. and they are doing, and supplies are improving all the time. And we will get to a stage where we can actually walk into a supermarket and the shelves will be stocked. At the moment, I don't know what it's like in Canada. I'd be interested to know. All our supermarkets now have adopted a maximum number of people in the store policy. And that means basically there's a queue outside the store with people spaced 6 feet apart, 2 meters apart. And as 10 people come out, 10 people go in. And they're doing it that way. And it's surprising how quickly the queue actually does move. But that's the way it's being done at supermarkets and pharmacies. You've got this queue outside. You join the queue. Fortunately, it's fine at the moment. And then you get your turn in the supermarket and you can buy. Now, in the supermarket itself, some products have been limited. You can only buy so many of a certain product to stop people actually panic buying. So if we can't do it, the supermarkets will put down the rules. And we've been encouraged when we actually pay at the supermarket to pay contactless. And in terms of that, at the moment, when we use a debit card or a credit card, we can use it contactless. And at the moment, it's £30 or $40. And you can do that without typing in a PIN number or anything. They're increasing that next week in the UK to £45, so that you can actually buy a week's shopping and the cashier doesn't need to touch anything. She just tells you, or he, not be sexist here because in our supermarket it's 50-50. The supermarket cashier will tell you how much you've got to pay, and then you just swipe your card, contactless in front of the reader, and you've paid, and it's instantaneous. It's out of your bank account. And contactless is the way to go. They don't want to be handling notes at the moment, so it's a lot easier with credit card, and it's a lot faster too. Right, catching up with the comments, and we heard from Tim last, just to make sure I've got the right comments, and then over to Barry. Barry is saying some major supermarkets put the wages up, and we've got an hello from Corinda. I say, hello, Corinda. Corinda is in London, in the UK. Is a good friend and live broadcaster. And it's just been live as well. So if you can catch Corinda's shows, then please do. And he's doing the fitness show, which, given that we're all at home, we've got to try and stay fit. I'll put my hand up here. We were out shopping yesterday, and we actually bought an extra bar of chocolate. So we've got to try and keep the calories the same and actually do some exercise at the same time. Coming from Fonz, are you going to be involved with the 8 p.m. doorstop applause for care workers? Right. Thank you for a reminder, Fonz. It has been suggested that if you're in the UK, that at 8 o'clock tonight, 3 p.m. Eastern, you go to your doorstep and applaud the staff of the NHS who are doing a sterling job, actually looking after everybody who's suffering from coronavirus. And yes, I think at 8 o'clock we will take a 5-minute break and go and stand at the door, and in solidarity with the NHS workers. Thank you, Fonz. And Marilyn, hello and welcome to the show. This show goes out 4 days a week, and it's nice to see you. I'm able to have all groceries and beer delivered here in Sarnia. No need to go to a store. Well, that's good. And it's good that the system's holding up and the people behind it are actually, as was said earlier, getting rewarded better for actually doing that. And it makes life a lot easier when you can get things delivered to the door. And if you've been doing it a long time, then you know how to do it. Some people have got to learn how to do it. We've got a situation, let's take that off for a moment. We've got a situation in the UK. Anyone over the age of 70 has been told to go into quarantine for a period of 12 weeks. And that starts very soon. 1.5 million letters are actually being sent out at the moment to everybody over 70 and anybody who is in a risk category, somebody who's got cancer or had a heart operation, then will get a letter, and they have to stay at home for 12 weeks. Now, that's not going to be easy, because if you live in a mansion, then okay, no problem at all. You can go around all the rooms in the mansion and walk outside and do all sorts of things. If you live in a one-room flat, to be confined to a one-room flat for 12 weeks is not going to be easy. And our health secretary asked for volunteers, and the volunteers' task was three things. One, to actually keep in contact with everybody who's under quarantine. Two, to deliver food and other items to people in quarantine. And thirdly, to deliver medicines. And he was looking for an army of 25,000 people to actually go and support the 1.7 million. So that's a small number, but it would have worked. After 24 hours, 250,000, 250,000 people had volunteered. And as of last night, over 500,000 people had volunteered to actually do those three things: to keep in touch by phone, to deliver groceries, and also to deliver medicines. There's a spirit about which is contrary to what one side is the fear of what's going to happen. The second side is helping others. And helping others, everybody's stepping up and actually doing something. And I'm sure it's true in Canada as well, that people are helping people and supporting people. And now our Prime Minister has said that 500,000, 500,000 people in a volunteer force is absolutely awesome. Can we get to 750,000? And I don't know what the latest figure is, but my guess is that it will head up to 750,000 people, helping those who are in isolation for the next 12 weeks. For the rest of the population, we are under, I was going to say, we have to stay at home, and we will find out in 2.5 weeks' time how long we have to stay at home for. It may be changed, it may be extended. We're just waiting to hear. Let's catch up with the comments. Okay, and what happens to Be.Live? Good question. At the moment, I'm on Be.Live Studio 2 using Be.Live and broadcasting out to you and keeping everybody informed and in touch. Be.Live, like other live broadcasting software houses, have decided that it's their turn to step up as well. And if you want to go live, you can go live privately in a group to family. You can go live privately in a group to friends, or you can broadcast publicly. And you can do that for free. From now until the 31st of March, and it is under review, you can broadcast live as many times as you wish using Be.Live. And thank you for the reminder, Corinda. And all you need to do, because we don't do affiliate links, so we don't sell books here, all you need to do is to type in be.live, and that will take you to the web page. Create an account with your Facebook login, and you can then go live. Okay, so you can go live for free. You can go live as many times as you want between now and 31st of March. What happens after that? Susan, I'll tell you. The other thing is that if you go to a place called udemy.com, udemy.com, then you'll find a free course, and all you need to do on Udemy is, it's worked, is to type in my name on udemy.com, and you'll find a free course which will tell you how to actually use the software. So thank you for the reminder, Corinda. And one of the things, wonderful things that happens in live broadcasts like this is that people know each other and they start chatting to each other, and that's the building of community, keeping in touch. Yeah, Fons and Corinda and Barry and Kelly and everybody who's contributing today all met through live video. Community is being built through live video, and as I say, you can do that for free. Right, let's go. Oh, more comments. So over to Corinda. Oh, right, okay, and yes, the unfortunate effect. John is John Upton, and John Upton broadcasts with myself 2 shows today. One was Blaving for Britain at 6 a.m. Eastern, and the other was just an hour ago, which is about inspired by video. So we do 2 shows together every week. And John has a 6-week-old granddaughter, and he can't go and see her. And so today he was using a green screen. He had a backdrop of his daughter called Dottie. And if you see John and you see a picture behind him, a wee bairn, as Peter Stewart would say, then do say hello. And basically, we know that we can't go and visit relatives at the moment. It is just make it difficult, and it brings it home when you see, you know, I mean, John has barely seen his granddaughter, and I know he would love to see her. Let's hope it happens again soon. And Corinda's saying yes. And Corinda's also saying, I had a letter, but I'm 30. Oh, right. Okay. I did say that it was people over 70 that were the majority of the people, but Corinda is also at risk from coronavirus. So just take care, Corinda. And during the 12 weeks that you are at home, you've got the outlet. You can broadcast live on Facebook and YouTube and Periscope, and you can join us as a guest at any time during those 12 weeks. We're here to help you get through those 12 weeks. So just call on us, and we'll gladly help. And over to Fonz, and Fonz is saying, gotta go and have a good show. Thank you, Fonz. Take care. See you soon. And Corinda is saying, see you, Fonz. So there we are. Oh, more comments. Wow, what a show. Right, Corinda is saying, is seeing people petition as well. Is that the same thing that's different? I think it's slightly different. That many petitions going around at the moment, Corinda, it's hard to know. This is a web page where people can volunteer, and as I say, north of 600,000 people have volunteered so far. So that on a personal point, I know you live with family, but your medical needs will be taken care of, and any medicines you need will be delivered to the house. So just take care, and yeah, got to stay at home. Okay, and we've crossed the Atlantic and go to Barry. And Barry is saying big changes for everyone. We all need to do everything we can to help keep everyone safe. Sacrifices need to be made for the greater good. And we are in that situation where what we do does make a difference. If we don't know at the moment, because there is no testing taking place, certainly in the UK, we're in the tens of thousands in a country of 60 million people. Because there is no testing taking place, we don't know whether we have the virus or not. And it can take 5.5 days for it to surface. During that time, we are still infectious. And if we were going out and about, as we normally did, and meeting and greeting with people and shaking hands and hugging and all that sort of thing, then we would be spreading the virus. So our bit is that we don't shake hands with anybody. We can sort of nudge elbows, but even that's a bit risque. Is that we just, I mean, when we went out for a walk today, people weren't saying hello, they were just smiling. And there's a lot of smiles going around at the moment between people. Rather than gestures, it's just a smile. And the smile says everything. It means people were moving over for us to get the 2 meter distance. We were moving over for other people to get the 2 meter distance. And it just works. People are being polite. People are being, well, people are being what we should be. And I think that this situation we're in is actually bringing the best out in the vast majority of people. And I'm just going to go down. I've got to Corinda's comment. So then Barry's comment. Then we're back to Corinda. I'm trying to keep track here. There is an app called the House Party. I'll try and find out about that for the next broadcast. And then over to Corinda again. And Corinda is saying, yes, but what I don't understand, why Boris said that the police can be involved if people don't follow new rules. Right, okay. Now, we've seen pictures from all around the world. We've seen pictures from Bondi Beach in Australia. Australia is on lockdown too, and we've seen beaches with people on, just as if it's a normal summer day and they're on holiday. In the UK, over the last weekend, we've seen people going to beauty spots, and there were traffic jams, and people were elbow to elbow at popular places. This is it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. You're very fortunate if you've got a partner to go out with, but even so, you can go out on your own. Groups of people going together is an opportunity for the virus to spread more quickly. We know this. It's a proven fact. It's a mathematical fact that the more people you meet, then the more likely you are to actually spread the virus if you have it and you don't know whether you've got it. So, given that you've got groups of people around the globe, in Australia and in England, and I'm going to say in Canada as well, where the youth are saying, right, school's closed, we're on holiday now, we can go and do our own thing. And the parents aren't stopping them. And that's a different topic for a different day. The problem is that you shouldn't be doing that. And if you're not going to use what most of us have here, which is common sense, then somebody has to say no. Now, I don't know about you, but if you've ever approached a group of young people and said, I don't think you should do that, then you're either going to get a blank stare or worse. And we've had worse in the UK. So you need some way of actually keeping control, and that is the job of the police force. And last night, the police force were given powers to actually break up groups of people. And the first of all thing the police do is to give a warning. And that warning is please disperse. It's very gentle. It's please disperse. And then that's followed by another please disperse. If you don't disperse, then you will be fined, and you'll be fined. The fine will be given on the spot. And it's from £30, $40, up to, there is no limit. Okay, so there is to be no social gatherings, end of. And if you are discovered in a social gathering, then you're liable to a fine. Now, it may well be that you can afford it, but hopefully these fines will hit home to the fact that you shouldn't be doing this. So that's why the police are involved, Corinda. It's to stop people gathering together in groups of more than two. There are different rules in different countries, but in the UK it's 2, in Ireland it's 4. And Corinda is saying, yeah, and we're now over to Barry, and Barry is adding, I've had a cold for a week. I've not gone anywhere since getting this cold. My cold is finally better, but we'll stay at home. We've got a friend, Stephen Silk, who lives in Stoke in the UK, and he got married recently, and he and his lady wife Sue went off to Italy for their honeymoon. They went to Venice, and they spent 2 wonderful weeks in Venice, and they sent him videos which were on his Facebook page, and they had a very enjoyable time, fell in love with the city, so much so that it became their favorite city. They returned from Venice to the UK 2 days before Italy closed its doors. So they were lucky. But they got home and they had to go into self-quarantine for 2 weeks, 14 days. And last Thursday, Stephen was saying, tomorrow is Friday. Sue and I can actually go out for the first time in 2 weeks. This week, they can't go out, apart from once a day. So we're all having to make sacrifices to make this work, and it will work, because if we can level out the number of people catching the virus, then our health services can cope. It just makes eminent common sense. This is a country and countries coming together and agreeing on ways to actually combat the virus, which is an enemy and a hidden one. And Corinda is saying true. Corinda again is saying that it is expensive. Well, it's to put people off. The £30 to unlimited fine is to stop people doing it, Corinda. If you saw a gathering of 20 people, odds are that 2 people in that gathering will already have the virus and not know it, and they will pass it on. Yeah. So it's not worth it. I know. I mean, this is not just a UK thing. This is Canada. This is USA. I was listening to Mayor Cuomo of New York today, and my heart goes out to everybody who lives in New York, especially to the health staff, where the hospitals are being totally overrun, where there isn't enough equipment. In the UK, we're fortunate in that central government has agreed a financing bill which will put billions of dollars into our economy, and people will be able to go on furlough and get paid 80% of the wage. That package is in place. We're going to hear today about a package for self-employed people too. Our government is taking action to help. I'm not sure that's happening all around the globe, but perhaps, well, they're doing the right thing. So Corinda is saying true, and John Upton is here. Hello, Mr. Upton. As I say, John and I were here earlier, and I just told everybody, John, that if they spot a picture of Dottie anywhere, then to say hello to you. And Corinda is saying, wow. Okay, I've actually caught up with the messages. And this is the beauty of live video, is that you can go live with a topic and you meet people, and it is like meeting in the street, because we all know each other well. We've been doing this, John and I, for the last 5 years, Corinda too, and everybody gets involved, everybody helps each other, and that's what's happening in countries as well. So I'm going to carry on with a few more points, and right, we've done that one. The next point I want to come to is, yes, the US is suffering, and an increase of 10,000 people confirmed in the last 24 hours. I mean, it's not just a single country. This is countries around the world who battling this virus, and gradually a consensus is coming out of the best way to actually tackle it. In the UK, the news has reached us that Prince Charles, who is heir to the throne, in other words, next in line after our Queen, has contracted the virus. He is positive for coronavirus, but he is in good health. He is staying on his private estate, and he is with his staff and his wife, Duchess of Cornwall, and they're being looked after by the staff, but they are living and, well, they're being helped by a National Health Service in the same way as everybody else in the country is being helped. And I wish Prince Charles a speedy recovery. The Duchess of Cornwall is fine. Okay, now we've had all sorts of things happen sports-wise around the globe. One of the top events in the UK, of course, is Wimbledon. And next week, they will be taking a decision about whether Wimbledon 2020 goes ahead behind closed doors, which it could if the tennis players agree. But it is a risk. There won't be any crowds allowed in, but the television may well be there, the radio may well be there, newspapers will be there. It could be that this is a distraction. I know our soccer teams, football teams, are actually trying to arrange that they play some games behind closed doors. They're very brave for doing that, and more power to them. I'm going back to the comments again, and Corinda is saying the Excel has been cancelled. The Excel is an exhibition centre in London, and it holds trade shows, and it's now been closed and is being made over into a hospital, and all trade shows in the UK in the coming months have been cancelled. One of the things that is happening, going from trade shows to live video, is that artists are getting together on live video. And I know David's got a show later this week with artists actually performing on his show. So there is live entertainment that's going to be taking place on Facebook. And I'm going to say this because I just happened to catch it. Garth Brooks went live on Facebook, and when I went to watch it, he was singing, and he was an amazing artist anyway, but 335,000 people were watching live at that particular point in time. And I just think that shows the power of social media, that people can go to Facebook and watch one of their favorite artists perform live, and what's more, with the aid of assistants, actually respond to the comments that are actually made whilst he was live. I mean, there were thousands of them, but somebody was there helping him. So you see more and more lives which are entertainment based. Right, okay, no, I'm going to make a point here, and don't take this the wrong way, Corinda. I try to be, and David tries to be, apolitical. In other words, we don't take left or right sides in this, and there is nobody to blame in the current situation. Everybody is doing their best. They might say one thing, but they're actually doing another. And the people who are administering government in any of our countries are actually doing the firm best that they can. Whatever they may say on Twitter, whatever they may say on Facebook, they're doing their darndest to actually help us through this. And they need our support. Now over to Mr. Upton. And right, okay, and it's just been announced. Right, okay, this is hot off the press. This has been announced by our Chancellor today. And if you're self-employed, then you'll get 80% of your profits to a maximum of £2,500. That's about $3,000 a month, based on your 2019 self-assessment. In English, I'll try for it. Every year, self-employed people submit a self-assessment tax return and pay their tax. The government have just stated that based on the tax that you pay on the earnings in 2019 in the self-assessment you did, they will, whilst we're in the situation we're in, pay you 80% of your profits. Now, this is in line with employees. If you're a company in the UK and you're employing people, there are two sides to I'll just take that off. I'll leave it off. There are two sides to the situation we find ourselves in. One is health and one is economics. What our governments are trying to do is keep us healthy, but also make sure that when we come out the other side of this, that we have an economy which can still continue. If our companies now started laying off people, then we would have a problem. Because when we start up again, companies don't have enough workers. So our government has said, if you can work from home, simple. If you work from home, then you'll still get paid by your employer as normal. Okay. If you can't work from home, if you're in a factory, if you're in the construction industry, then please do go to work because we need you. Okay. Then there's the area of companies. What do companies do? It's quite possible that companies cannot afford to have all their staff working because they've been non-productive. The government don't want companies to sack anybody. So what they're saying is this: don't sack people. We will pay 80% of their wages. Yep. So we're borrowing from tomorrow to pay today because we have to. And our government is guaranteeing 80% of the wages of people who are put on furlough. That's good. And they've just now said, as John has pointed out, that they're going to do the same for self-employed people. In other words, the government is going to be employing everybody who is not working at the moment, who is either in employment or self-employment. So that's very helpful. We keep things ticking over. It will mean that when we get through the far side of this, and eventually we will, things will be able to start up again rapidly and nobody will be fired. Now, there is obviously, there's always fine print. And the fine print in the employees getting 8% of the salaries is that the government have got to process all the claims first. So at the moment, it looks like that you'll get 80% of your salary, but your first payment will not be until the end of April, which means that you've got to live between now and the end of April. Those monies in April are actually guaranteed, so you could actually trade against that. But there are difficult times for people who are going to be in receipt of the government assistance at the moment because there's a gap between, well, you know where I'm coming from on that. I'll expand on that later. Over to John again with more information, and I'll find the next one. And John is saying self-employed. All right, okay. That's so good, John. You typed it twice. Right, and Corinda's making the point. Corinda's right. The 2020 Olympics, which were due to take place in Japan, were cancelled this week. When, to my mind, this all sense, but they have been cancelled. They've been put back to 2021. Now, in parallel with the Olympics is the Paralympics, which take place after the Olympics, and they've been cancelled too. Okay, so thank you for keeping us up to date to Corinda and John. Right, I'm going to run for another few minutes because, okay, so, right, okay, now this affects all of us and it's something to be aware of. Reducing streaming quality. The internet is creaking at the seams because we're all using it, and it's got to be able to withstand, as it is at the moment, traffic it is never seen before. But it has been designed to actually absorb that traffic and is working exceedingly well. There are going to be occasional glitches. We had one this morning, and we've got to go through those and work through those. We know that Netflix and Amazon and everybody who's involved in streaming video is reducing the quality. Now, they're reducing the quality from high definition and 4K down to SD. If you see the term SD anywhere, that's standard definition. And what that means in English is that is DVD quality. So we're not losing out by much. I think you've got to stand pretty close to the television set to tell the difference between SD and HD. But that's just my take on it. And over to Corinda. Right, okay, and that's that. I'm just going to see if there's any more comments, right? So the comments are still there. Thank you. I'm just going to go quickly through what I was going to go through. One interesting point in the UK, at least, is the airlines have grounded between 75 and 80% of their fleets because we're not flying. People are not flying. And they said to the government, we need £7.8 billion, $9 million, $9 billion, sorry, to keep going. And the government has said no. The government has said you have to look to yourselves, look to the people who are financing you already and borrow money from them. Only if you can't get the money by other means will we act as lender of last resort. So I think there's some politics taking place here, and our government in the UK is not going to be investing in our airlines. So we'll have to see what happens when the economy does restart again and we all want to fly, and some of the airlines. Right, before I go, okay, as you're watching live and you're watching now and you're actually on the show with David Burrows page, could you tell me which book you're reading at the moment? And then I'll tell you what I'm reading. Because this is the chance to actually either, I've got bookshelves. We've got bookshelves downstairs. That was my green screen. We've got bookshelves downstairs full of books, and we've read quite a lot of them, but not all of them. So we can actually pull books from and read them. And this is a great chance to actually catch up on reading. And with summer on the way in the UK and Canada, if you're fortunate enough to have an area to sit outside, you can sit outside during the day and read a book. And this is our opportunity to actually do that. If you are reading a book at the moment, then please do type the title in the comments and I'll show it on screen. I'm going to guess, though, that some of you are reading the latest Hilary Mantel book, which is a follow-up. It's not a follow-up, it's the final book in the series about Wolf Hall. And it is a fascinating look into the life of the Cromwells and Henry VIII. And it's just such a, we've got a saying in the UK, it's a cracking good read. So I can recommend the latest Hilary Mantel book to you. One, because it's a good read, and two, because it's 820 pages. So it's going to keep you busy for quite a while learning about English history. Right, to everybody who's joined me today, I'd like to say thank you. David and I will be back at 12 p.m. Eastern on Monday, and with our normal show, and then we're back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as well. This is the power of live broadcasting. You can go live, you can reach out to people, you can do it on Be.Live for free. Just type in be.live, sign up with your Facebook account, and you can be broadcasting straight after this show. To friends who joined me today, thank you. To new friends who watch this for the first time in the Be.Livers group on the David Burrows Live with David. Hang on, what's the thing called? Okay, just a minute. The show with David Burrows. That's where we are today. That's where you can find us. But if you're watching from Be.Livers, if you're watching from Fraser Hayes Grow Your Business Club, if you're watching from my profile, then thank you. If you have any questions about live broadcasting, do contact me. If you want to come on this show, Monday through Friday, then just let David or I know. You're more than welcome as a guest to tell your stories, because we all have stories to tell. And it's important that we actually reach out to people and explain the situation we're in and how we can help each other. So for now, from Wiltshire in England, and if you want to know where that is, you just need to picture Stonehenge, and that's where I am. In actual fact, I'm going to try this. If this works, it'd be good. If it doesn't work, no matter, but I should be able to scroll down, and that's where I am. I'm 20 miles away from Stonehenge. Thank you for watching, and take care this weekend, and I'll see you again tomorrow with Ask Angelica. If you want to learn German, then join Angelica and I at 2 p.m. tomorrow in the UK, 10 a.m. on the East Coast, and we'll teach you a little bit of German. Other than that, I've got my own German lesson to get ready for. I've got to do my homework. I haven't done my homework yet. If you've got anything at all, ask. But it's been my pleasure to actually broadcast live today. So from Wiltshire in England, goodbye for now, and let's just keep going and stay positive and help each other. Goodbye.